Hello, everybody. Welcome to HODL the Line. Ali, welcome. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. Our pleasure. You know what? I just realized as I was starting the stream that I have to actually step away for a second. So I'm going to let you two guys chat while I do that. As you can see, guys, we're just so organized here for HODL the Line. Just for Ali, we're this organized.
I love it. I feel the red carpet. It's amazing.
Oh,
it happens
man.
sometimes.
Yeah, and yeah, we'll give a shout out to the chat and all that kind of thing. But I'll tell you what, Ali, maybe unless you guys want to just chat while I'm gone, I'll be gone literally maybe a minute tops. But or you can just kind of start in and tell everybody about you because I'll tell you what, dealer's choice.
I'm not exciting. What I want to hear about is the Bitcoin conference. How was it? Like I really want to go. I've never been, and I think like the next time it comes around, I'm absolutely going.
Well, so it was actually a whole lot of fun. No. I thought I had it on the 2-man person, but okay. So it was a lot of fun. They're going to have the next one in Vegas as well. So 2026 Bitcoin conference is going to be in Vegas. There was so many people there, and it was nice to like be able to actually see in person the kind of community that is behind Bitcoin. Because you walk in there and there's people from all different walks of life. You're hearing multiple different languages. So like on industry day, one of the first things that I noticed was a group of Saudi miners as I'm like walking up, and they're in their Saudi dress, and they're speaking a whole different language. And it's like, man, I really wish I could talk to you, but we got this language barrier. But it's nice to see that Bitcoin is global like that.
Yeah, it's a big tent. It is an evolving tent, and I think I don't know that the tent's going to be it's already the entire world, and it's just going to get even bigger. But it's cool to see something like niche like that become mainstream. And yeah, you go to those conferences, and it's not just a collection of nerds anymore, which I include myself in that demographic. Now it's more like an airport, which is awesome. You see people from all walks of life and all areas of the world, and I think that's beautiful.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's quite a ways because like I was in Bitcoin I wouldn't say like the very beginning, but like 2011. So like I remember being the nerd that's like in the message boards, and you're talking to other nerds, and like honestly a bunch of the speeches are what I really wanted to go for. It was like cool. I got to see a bunch of people that I've wanted to see. That was reason number one. But like when I saw that the person that got me into Bitcoin was going to be speaking at the Bitcoin conference, I was like, let's go. And that speech literally gave me tingles. Nice. Ross. That's the whole reason I found out about Bitcoin. So
nice. I came into it maybe a little bit later than that, but it wasn't very much later. I think my first exposure to it was around $300 a coin, something like that, and it was because I was working on it, and on it like Rogan was platforming some Bitcoin stuff, and I was like, oh shit, okay, if Rogan's talking about this, then this is potentially entering into the the public zeitgeist, and so it's something to take a little bit seriously. Because I had seen what Rogan did for our business on it, and his ability to reach an incredible, like enormous swath of the population and convince them that these things that he's platforming are good was very powerful. He was the source of almost all of our customers when the business first started. He was this fire hose of customer acquisition. So like if Rogan was talking about it, it was important. You should probably listen to it, if and only if, because of the power that he had over his audience and the size of his audience. So that's when I started taking it a little bit seriously and accumulated some.
Oh yeah. I remember when he was talking about that too. That was quite a while ago. And I mean, he still occasionally talks about the fact, it's like, yeah, I got gifted a Bitcoin and I've just never sold it. I don't know what to do with it or anything. It just keeps going up in value. I'm like, if that's not a selling point, I don't know what is.
Correct.
Yeah. Seriously, man. Seriously. Yeah, I know Badel, welcome, by the way. I know we didn't start off the way we kind of planned there, Ali, so I apologize. But where we were talking, or you guys started talking about the Bitcoin conference, tell me about some of the conferences you may have been to with regard to gold or Aurums, or I don't even know. Is there Aurum conferences? I have no idea.
Not specific to Aurums, but certainly like gold, precious metals, stuff like that, and money in general, which is really fascinating. I have been to none of them. I'm not much of a conference person, but I'm realizing that I need to be. And so there's a lot more conferences in the crypto space and the precious metal space they're on my radar, and I will be attending soon.
Nice.
Guys, which
Ones
do you have your eyes on? Just in case I need to show up.
There's the one that that Valarum goes to. They are the Aurum people, and they go to the one that's in Germany, and I forget what it's called, but it's like the biggest one. And it's I think it's centered around money and not precious metals. But that to me is like maybe the most interesting, like a whole conference around money and the different sorts of money that's out there. That's fascinating from an economic sort of mindset. It's fascinating from an art mindset, from what they're doing to like secure these bills with all the accounting for measures and stuff like that. So I just want to, like, I have an engineer brain, and I really want to go there and just like, I don't know, absorb like all the different types of the world's money, which is just, I don't know, it's just so interesting.
Oh yes, I mean, it does sound fascinating, especially when there's like actually countries that go into way harder measures of counterfeiting to keep from counterfeiting than the US does. Like, we've got pretty basic measures on how to keep someone from counterfeiting, but then you got countries that are like, yeah, our bills look like monopoly money. Yeah, it looks funny, but like, try to counterfeit it.
Yeah, those are the dopest, man. Switzerland is amazing. Their currency is amazing. There's a lot of examples of like really, really, really cool currency that we're trying to like take cues from whenever we design our next iteration of like the metalmark standards. Like I want to replicate those bills because they are highly artistic. They look amazing, and like they're not paper. So there's some parallels there. I can't believe the USD is like they're just all green. They're greenbacks. They're on paper. Like it's kind of boring. And all that other stuff is like really it scratches like the artistic side of my brain. There's a engineer side and an artistic side. Making golden like sort of voluntary currency is a way to smash those two things together.
That sounds quite fascinating
and fun, quite frankly.
Super fun.
Hello all. Sorry, as soon as I joined, there was a train that went by, followed by another train, so I had to be muted.
You and the trains, man. You and the trains.
I'm just sitting here like listening with my mic muted. It just keeps telling me mic is muted. Mic is muted. I'm like, yeah, yes, I know.
Guys, how about we take a quick minute to go say hey to the chat? It looks like we got a bunch of conversation going on there. And like I said, guys, appreciate everybody's patience. We started out a little bit rough this evening, so appreciate it. Gold Miner James is in the house. Jesse in the house. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you all being here. Let's see who else we got here. Let's see. BC doing a lot of talk. Yes, Jesse with the emojis. Appreciate that. Yes, and that was our cue to come on. You're slacking right there. Appreciate that, Gold Miner James. Automatic Beats is in the house. Appreciate you being here. Trade Intuition, of course, in the house. Appreciate that. Yeah, nerd. See, he's appreciating that, BC. See, there you go. Mark Dutch. There you go. Mark Dutch in the house. All set. Appreciate you being here. I know. I kind of just we'll go right by that. There we go. Oh man. Let's see. Who else am I missing here? Sorry, I'm playing catch up. LBC in the house. Appreciate you being here, LBC.
He's asking where's the join link.
Who's asking for the join link?
Lunar Beach. The comment you have.
I didn't even see that. There is no public join link.
Somebody
LBC.
pulled it up.
Yeah, no, that was me, but I didn't read it I was zipping through trying to catch the rest of the comments, and there we go. Daniel Diaz in the house, the man, the myth, the legend. Dude, you have a gold chat without me. You're welcome to join. If you want to join, Daniel, let me know. And LBC, you are more than welcome to join as well. Can you get him a link, BC? You should have admin access.
I
do
don't
that.
have, so I'm not on my PC.
So you can't do that.
I don't have any links with me.
I have my link I can post.
Well, I don't want to post it publicly.
Oh, shit. My bad. I already did it.
So I just put it in.
Everybody can join. It's just who we allow on stage is, a secondary measure.
Oh, man. Hold on.
If one of you guys want to remove those comments, that's fine. Or my comment.
I don't even see your comment. Where'd you put it? Probably on your own. Yeah, Allie, you can see we got this so under control right here. It is.
So it should be on my channel and your channel.
Yeah. I derailed the stream. No, you didn't derail the stream. Daniel, I'll send you that link. Give me 1 second. That way you can join in if you want. Allie, for the people who don't know you, because we got people also on Badel's stream, YouTube channel. We got people from BC's X account. They don't know you. Let maybe give them the quick who you are, a little bit about your background, maybe how you set up MetalMark, and go from there. And I'll send out these links.
Sure. I'm like oh man. Long time ago, I wanted to be a firefighter. We can start there. Just kidding. Let's see. I am a technologist. I am a marketer. I am a business person. I have been largely in CPG, which is consumer product goods. So I have held various roles at different CPG companies. Like Onnit is maybe the biggest one that I've held in the past. That is that Joe Rogan supplement company that some people are familiar with. That got bought by Unilever, but I've also since then, I did shave the mustache. It's every day I look a little bit different. Got to keep it interesting. But since then, really just been bouncing around CPG companies, been starting a couple of CPG companies, been investing in CPG companies. Sort of like consumer product goods are just really interesting to me because it's a tangible thing, And when you get your start in technology, you do a ton of stuff that's like in this digital realm, and so it feels like it's not really real. And so I eventually found a way to CPG, and that was a good way to like use the technology side of my brain, but also do it for something that you could actually touch and feel, and was something that could make people happy because they would get something and be so stoked about it, or would help improve their lives somehow. And Onnit was a great example of that. We had products that were supplements, which athletes very, very much benefited from. And if the value proposition of like the Alpha Brain or the supplements was a little bit like dubious for some people, which I totally get, we also sold fitness equipment, which you can't really argue with. It's heavy stuff, and you lift it, and you build muscle. It's it works. At Onnit, it was really kind of awesome because it was this marriage of CPG and also like art. It was a very creative company. We integrated art into pretty much everything we did. And we did that because that's what we were into. That's what we were interested in. And so we got a chance to work with some really awesome IP. Like we licensed Marvel and Disney, and we made Darth Vader kettlebells and Captain America shield
awesome.
bumper plates and stuff like that. And it was really, really cool. And a Death Star medicine ball, which was awesome. And sort of carrying that tradition with this company, MetalMark, we started out thinking like, all right, these products are really cool. It's this weird like gold currency type thing. Like that's neat. What if we put like really awesome art on it and scratch that creative itch that we have? We could do it with some of our heroes. So you asked in the green room before the show, like, how do we find these artists and how we work with them and all that? Well, it's really just personal bias and taste. Like I love Frank Frazetta, and we would try to find ways to work with different artists at Onnit. And sometimes we were successful, sometimes we weren't. Frazetta was one where we wanted to figure out something there. I don't think we ever did, but now we can, and we did, and we launched with Frazetta. We just reached out, explained the idea, made sure the numbers made sense, and then just try to do the best job possible at making the best like golden Frazetta art in existence. And now I get to do it with some other people that I really like. Some more of my heroes, like Frank Miller is a big hero of mine. Maybe that's coming up soon. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
So
And then there's
I
just
do
this.
have probably a question that a lot of people are probably thinking in their heads is about the artist point. Like, have you tried AI? Have you ever thought about using AI to? Because I mean, that's like a whole different realm, because then you're eliminating artist jobs and you're kind of doing it yourself. But I feel like AI is smart enough to maybe generate those images, but they're not smart enough to like take it down to the finer details that you guys would probably want.
If it's not there yet, it will be. If you look at the trajectory of AI, like it is on an exponential clip, which is, I have so much to say about AI, especially right now, because I almost missed this meeting because I was deep working on like an AI project, which I just pushed out my MVP for. But Metalmark really, I do not want to do almost any AI whatsoever with Metalmark. Like if you go to the site, it is crafted by hand. The graphics are 100% human created. We work with artists who have established IP, so that means they have like big followings and all that already, which is much beneficial for the velocity of the business.
Sure.
But almost like as a pride point, man, like this is a physical product that's going to be the hands of people, and it's meant to improve people's lives. The whole sound money movement's wrapped up into that. And like the last thing that I want to do almost with the art on these bills is go in the opposite direction and just quickly crank out stuff. You know what I mean? Like I want to really take the time to make this an important part of the human experience. And I think that means like using legit established IP. Plus, like I can make 1,000 different images that are very, very similar to what Frazetta can crank out in the style. Like it would almost look like he did it himself. But I want to work with the Frazetta estate, and like I want to work as a matter of like pride and just personal satisfaction. I want to work with my heroes, and my heroes are all people. So I want to work with people.
Not AI, huh?
Oh, so what you're saying is you don't want to be like the government and create one image and then print it infinitely for the next 50 to 100 years.
Yeah, I recognize the power of AI. Like now more than ever, really, since I bit the bullet and I dove in, and I'm doing like a substantial AI project right now. Its power is terrifying, and it's like an existential crisis for humanity. Maybe the biggest existential crisis that humanity has ever faced. And I know that sounds crazy, but like the ability of AI to disrupt large swaths of the population is not dissimilar to like the power of something like an atomic bomb or like the invention of the gun, and it just radicalized warfare. And if you follow that, like there are so many AI projects being developed at a rapid pace right now that it's almost like there's dozens, if not more, of parallel Manhattan projects happening right now. And the impact that it's going to have to humanity, like I don't know, it's crazy, but it's on an exponential clip. So everyone has seen the video of like Will Smith eating spaghetti, and it's comically hilarious. Like that was a couple of months ago. Like don't forget that. The videos that are coming out now from AI are scarily convincing, and they have audio and they have sound effects, and the lighting is like damn near perfect. And okay, that was in a couple of months. Like that's an exponential clip. What happens a year from now? What happens 2 years from now? What happens when we have these like God of the Gap style arguments right now about, well, I can't take my job because I'm blah blah blah, or like my job's safe because this thing can't do that very well. Like give it time. At the pace that it's progressing, give it enough time and enough investment, which is pouring into AI right now. Like where is it going to be in a year? It's terrifying to think about. But
well, I completely agree, because like look at where AI was at say years ago. I mean, it was almost non-existent to us consumers. And then look at it now, like any of us, you know, you probably got to pay for some AI service, but you can create a full-length movie that looks real with very little flaws. And that's been within like a year and a half. So like if we go back, if we go like 2 years ahead from now, Like everything is just going to be AI generated, I feel.
A lot of it is, and that's like every profit incentive exists for companies to adopt AI as fast and as furious as possible if they want to succeed in the open market. So what does that look like in a year? I don't know, man. What does labor look like in a year? It's like previously with automation, labor would go from like unskilled to skilled. There was some sort of movement there, but now when you think about like what AI can do, it's doing the job of like a junior position. So like a junior developer, for example. You're a company, you want to save costs, so you hire a junior developer to do the stuff that nobody wants to do. Well, AI can do that now, but that junior
Right.
developer role was really important for that junior developer human so that he could start moving up the rungs of the ladder and get the experience and get the resume and all that stuff so he can become a senior developer. Like I worry that that ladder of progression for humanity in the labor market is being obliterated
But like,
because a company has every incentive not to hire a junior developer, but just to have AI do it.
is that necessarily a bad thing though? So like, yes, you're talking about there's going to be a curve where it's like, okay, we have now disrupted the labor market, but like, you want to talk about freedom for humans, you would now have the freedom to do whatever you want with your own time.
That's true, except make
R-
money in those positions that are now eliminated. So like, what
But
does it
like,
do to the economy?
but like, so here's the thing is that you would have to start subsidizing things. Well, it's like now you've destroyed the need for anyone to have a job. So jobs are now a moot point. You no longer have to work. And if you had nothing but free time with your time, what are you going to do?
Where are you
And
going to get the money?
it opens up the doors to next level, like we're what is it, like a second tier civilization. And it's like if you want to move to tier 3, you need those menial jobs to be taken by AI.
Agreed, actually, for sure. And the point on subsidies is actually really important. Like, yes, that some form of like UBI is probably necessary if you just think through it and you extrapolate the next like 5 years. But like, do you think that the United States government is going to be pro UBI,
I
like
mean,
in a
like,
merit-based system? Like, I don't know, man. All that's like communism. You know what I mean? That's socialism, communism. And you talk about universal basic income because AI is going to displace the majority of the labor market. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
but there's that
here's the
long-term
thing:
thing of
you would kind of have to adopt.
to be happy. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say you would kind of have to adopt UBI if there is no merit system to be had. Like
Yeah,
if you can't join the merit system because there's no place to join, then it's kind of like, okay, well, like you either have UBI or you have mass revolts, and like we just reset this Stone Age style.
yeah. It's I that's why I do not know the answers. I have no idea what's going to happen. That makes it really fascinating and exciting, and also like super terrifying. And that goes back to like me saying this is a crazy like existential moment for humanity. I believe that 100%. Like we have multiple Manhattan projects happening in parallel, and each one of them has a payload that is akin to a nuke that can go off in society. It's maybe even literally like, oh, it's wild, dude. Like I thought the internet coming out was a Wild West. Like this is the Wild West to an exponential level.
To infinity.
It's
Yeah.
wild. But to bring that back, like I actually think that makes the sound money movement maybe even more important because fiat is sort of tied to this consumption based economy. And like when consumption takes a hit or the fundamentals of a consumption based economy or a merit based system or humans having jobs gets changed in some radical way, like what does money look like in that situation? Where does the money come from? How does it get distributed? What in the world does that economy look like? And I think that if you just look at human history, okay, gold had value when we were, hitting people over the head with stone axes, and it had value when we were doing that with metal axes, and it had value when we were doing that with guns, and also with nukes, and also when other revolutions came about, like the internet and smartphones, and it stands to reason like gold probably still has value, precious metals, maybe even more so when AI sort of takes a deeper root in a matter of years.
If
What
if
would you, so like, is there any, with your company, is there any looking at branching out into like these other precious metals where it's like silver used to be a very big thing? I know silver's kind of like on the buy and buy right now, but as you see it progressively used a little bit more, and like people kind of go back to that, oh well, silver's kind of valued as a store of value. Do you have any like thoughts of branching into like silver or anything else?
Would love to, man. And I mean, first of all, just from an artistic perspective, that the golden canvas is really, really awesome. But if we want to get really crazy with some of our designs, which I definitely want to, a more like white or silver canvas might show those colors a little bit better because it's not going to be tinted by the yellow. So just creatively, like absolutely, yes, that would be awesome. And we actually have one that's in the works that's platinum, but that may or may not come. That may have to be pivoted over to gold. It's really depending on what the capabilities of our mint can do, Valerum. But I would love to. I would love to do like blends of metals or whatever. Like this is a crazy metal canvas that we can make art and sound money with. And like, dude, let's experiment. Let's do it all.
So like you like a gold back with like silver like layered on top where you etched through, that would be kind of
That would be
awesome
amazing.
to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really awesome to see.
And that's one of those things too that may actually provide more collectible value to these Aurums. So like I don't know that you make like an entire. I don't think you print like millions of those, but a short run that has like some blend of metal or different features like that would be amazing from a collecting standpoint, because then like that spot argument when it comes to Aurums sort of goes away, because okay, now it's like it's truly sort of a brand new thing, because it's a blend of metals versus just like being one metal that you can compare the spot price to.
Interesting. You know, we've got a question from LBC. Gold back Bitcoin or Bitcoin back gold, which one and why? And then his follow-up is, or why not, obviously, or neither.
From my perspective, like stack all the Bitcoin you can, stack all the gold you can. I don't know that you would need to back each other. I'd say it's just like a diversification strategy where you want exposure to both directly if you can.
So I know BC PortCorp went to the conference this year. It kind of sounded like Ellie might have been there also, but I was there last year in Nashville, and they had like a gold-plated Bitcoin with one Bitcoin on it, and it was like 250K. I think at that time Bitcoin was like 68, maybe 70K. But it was also like the weight of the gold to make that coin, plus the value of the Bitcoin, plus, you know, the price that it would cost. So it's like there are some companies out there doing that, but
I love
in
that.
a very large market or
Yeah,
very small market. Because who's going to spend
right now? It's a small market.
Yeah, but who's going to spend 250K on 50,000 worth of gold and $70,000 worth of
a collector?
Someone just paid 11 Bitcoin for Ross's prison ID. So, you know,
yeah,
seriously, of course they'll spend that kind of money. I mean, come on.
Yeah, the fewer of those things in existence, and the better the marketing is for those things, and the more compelling they are to a certain audience, the higher the price is going to be. I think that's dope though, and there's a couple of projects out there. I don't know if I can talk about it, but there's one in particular that is aiming to sort of bring the cash concept to crypto, any crypto, and the way that it works would be similar to an Aurum or something, but there would be, you know, just like that coin probably has an embedded key on it. It would be the same thing where there'd be like an embedded key in the bill. I think all that stuff is really interesting. Like we're watching a really important time in human history where there is radical change that's happening. Not just in every aspect of society, including money, maybe especially money because of Bitcoin. So to see like the evolution of different projects pop up that are trying to solve problems or just do something new or just be different, like, I don't know, man, it's awesome. It's really cool to see.
I think it'd be actually pretty cool if like MetalMark hooked up with Ballet, like the Bitcoin wallets. But I mean, they do like XRP and Litecoin and things like that, where like you could buy like a MetalMark that has like a scratch off that has X amount of BTC, LTC, whatever crypto that you want to buy, but it also has, you know, gold in it.
Totally. I think it's an inevitability that we're going to do something in the crypto space. And what's really cool, what I'm really excited about with MetalMark is I want to push as much value back to customers as we possibly can, or holders of these things as we possibly can, especially on the collectible side of the business. So like these Frazetta prints that we came out with, like they're expensive straight up. They are not rationally tied to the spot price of gold or whatever. Like they are a collector's item. They're meant to be a collector's item. But what they come with is a serial number that's on the bill themselves, and then a different serial number that's on the certificate of authenticity. And those are two different numbers that you can use our verifier on our website to make sure it's like this thing is legit and it's genuine. But having two like that sort of operates as a username and a password, or like a public key and a private key. And so what we're able to do with that is eventually something like this, where holders of these assets can have a wallet on MetalMark, and they will get things pushed to that wallet because we can verify that the holders of those bills have both keys so they can access that wallet. It's going to happen eventually. It's just too cool of a concept to not do that. Plus, I really like the idea of some of those NFT projects were tickets into things in the real world, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club and stuff like that. You get one of those things, that's your ticket into like a real club in the real world. And we can do something very similar because we have that double serialization from the bills and the COA. So I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but I know we're going to do something there. And it's really exciting just for me to think about, because again, it's one of those things that marries like the real world and the digital world. And like, I'm pretty passionate about that.
Is how I know that might be a premature question, but how much do you think your business has to actually expand in order to like get your fingers into all of those pies, if you know what I'm saying?
Not much, man.
Really?
I got pretty close on a weekend, just kind of tinkering to make some of that stuff real. And nice. The way that it, I can't finish that thought because it would be giving some stuff away. But,
okay, all right, fair enough.
The amount of work that's required to do something like that, the amount of engineering code required to do something like that, it's super minimal. It's really not much at all. It'd be really just about like working with the right providers that could push back some of those, like, let's call them rewards or assets or whatever, back to the hands of holders. It'd be like a licensing deal or some sort of like corporate partnership.
Gotcha. Oh, wrong one. I was actually trying to highlight that one where he's saying a silver MetalMark would be cool. Yeah.
I was laughing at what Dutch said.
What this one right here?
Yeah.
Bullish on your there you go. Facts.
Dude, assuming like it wouldn't break any nuclear laws in America, like a uranium bill would be dope, man. Because have you seen the uranium like China sets and all that you can get? And I think you can actually just buy them, but they have like trace amounts of uranium that are radioactive and they like glow green. Like that's awesome. Like if we could have a glowing MetalMark bill, I have no idea if it's safe or legal, but it would be cool.
You'd probably have to go about it in such a way where you destroy old China that is made with that, because they're still legally allowed to sell that. But getting your hands on any new uranium would be extremely hard and most likely illegal.
I'm looking up real quick if you can buy uranium on Amazon.
You know you're gonna get flagged. We're gonna be watching them kick in your door in a minute.
Hold on, I need to put my phone in what's that bag?
A Faraday.
Yeah,
Faraday?
I need a Faraday bag for my phone at this point.
So if you weren't on any lists, you totally are now. Welcome to the club.
Well, see, I was gonna congratulate Allie on whoever the salesman is, or maybe it's my phone, but in the last month, even on Facebook, my games, everywhere, I've been getting ads for Metalmark. And
Sorry.
I don't know if it's my phone just listening to us
Yes,
or
it's
if it's
listening to you. And
salesman,
it's also
but
reading your mind.
I
Every
just
time you
always
think
make sure
about
to
Metalmark, you
like
get
and
mad.
share just about every ad I see, just because you're a cool dude and I like the company. I like what you guys do. So
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's like the unfortunate reality of programmatic advertising. It's so good at targeting and then like once you're caught in the net, like it sort of refuses to
yeah.
let you go. Or anyone that you love or care about or is near you also, it refuses to let them go as well. It's kind of creepy. I'll tell you, one of my goals of MetalMark is I would love to power down those ads eventually. I want to get to the point where like we don't need them, because I hate paying that tax. It is a tax. It's an absurdly expensive tax to sort of capture people's attention. And if we are successful at getting people's attention without advertisements, I would push in that direction as hard as I can, and not in the direction of lining Zuckerberg's pockets.
So I mean,
Blame me.
do you have any thoughts about doing deals with like influencers on like Instagram or something like that? Because that would be your quickest way to be able to take down ads. It's like you just
Yeah,
work with some influencers. Like, hey, bro, here's this 1,000 milligram. You can have it for free. Just do some promos for me.
if it was the right influencer, then yeah. I'd say like I sort of dislike working with influencers for the most part, and that's coming from like we came from on it. We worked with Joe Rogan. I mean, Joe Rogan is one of the largest influencers on planet Earth, and we worked
Yes.
with a lot of people in like the Rogan sphere. And it's not that I dislike any of them or anything like that. It's just like the influencer tax is very high, and I don't like paying those taxes for marketing. I'd much rather find a way to get into the hearts and minds of the actual customer directly and own that relationship directly. And then we sort of don't need to pay that really expensive tax. But if there were any influencers out there that wanted to work on a purely performance basis, like as an affiliate, 100%, 1,000,000% all day long, I'll pay you points on revenue that you drive. No problem.
Interesting.
I don't mind making a video for you and whatever you want to send me or give me. I mean, I'm not going to ask for anything, but I mean, like, I don't know if you've ever looked at like Timcast IRL, or like if you ever do something with like crypto, like you could do with Red Panda, maybe talk to him or like Hawk. I mean, there's a couple big influencers like Voscoin for crypto, but
that would be awesome. One of the strategies with MetaMark, and this sort of gets to why I don't want to pay advertising eventually or pay influencers eventually, is I'm trying to align the brand with other really good solid IP or other brands or artists and all that, so that like we can tap into those demographics and that audience without having to pay ads or pay influencers or whatever. It's like the product itself and the act of the other brand promoting it as we promote it, the co-promotion is sort of the advertisement for it. It's a burst strategy. Like that bursts really hot whenever it first happens, and it sort of trails off because you don't have those consistent touch points.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I want to.
I love the fish collection of the metal marks that you guys have.
I had that on my list to talk to you about. That is an amazing. They're beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
They're super awesome. I feel like we're getting credit for making them. Like we did not make those whatsoever. Those are made by Valerum directly. Like I think their in-house team did it. They are super talented. They are super good bills. They refresh them too. So there's like the 2022 or 23 version, which doesn't have a back to it. It's sort of just one-sided, kind of like Goldback is. And the new version has a back on them, and they're super good. They're money, you could say. Their internal team at Valerum is extremely good at making those bills because they know exactly what their machines can do. They sort of work, I imagine, with the engineers on these machines to like go back and forth and figure out different things that they can do with these bills, and what they're able to extract from their own hardware is some of the best stuff out there. It's awesome.
I'm trying to bring it up right now. It says sold out. You guys are sold out, or
Yeah.
didn't that
Oh my
just
God.
like hit?
Twice over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so-
looked at the website just a second ago, or like at the beginning too. I was like, literally, almost everything is sold out.
Yeah,
Wow.
good problem to have, but also
Yeah.
really annoying.
Mhm.
'Cause that's
Yeah,
bad
but
for
I mean,
cash
like,
flow.
look at those images. Like,
I
that
know
is
they're
phenomenal.
yeah,
If I could talk
crazy
straight.
amazing, crazy amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
they're super. And the toughest thing ever with Aurums, these golden bills, is that you don't really understand how rad these things are until you get one in your hands. Like someone can tell you all day long that there's art on a gold bear, like, yeah, whatever. That's cool, that's novel, whatever. But when you get one in your hand, it clicks and you realize like, oh shit, this is something different, this is something special. And I wish I could like, maybe we can, maybe we'll do some run where like we just get samples out and in front of as many people as possible. Because in my experience so far, even in the licensing deals that we've been able to secure, it's the pitch is whatever. Maybe it's cool, maybe it gets a bite, whatever. But like once the person, the rights holder, the customer, once they have these things in their hand and they see it, all the barriers are eliminated because they immediately realize like, ah, this is awesome. And it requires you to see it in person for it to really, really click.
Oh, I'll tell you what, in person, they're amazing. The ones that you sent out for to everybody on the Crypto on the Rocks episode we were talking about earlier. I'll tell you what, when I took a look at that in person, I was like, oh my God, that's
Yeah.
like I was in awe. I was in awe.
They are the hardest thing in the world to photograph and get on video. But when you see them in person, you get to experience like the way that the light hits it in different angles as you hold it. It's like, okay, it clicks.
No, I mean, like that one Crypto on the Rocks, I don't think Elliot was here shortly after the giveaway. I think it was the following week. I showed a couple people I work with because they buy and stock gold and silver. And I was like, hey, have you ever heard of a gold back? And they're like, no. What is that? I tried to explain it to them. I was like, well, I got one in the mail on its way. When it shows up, I'll bring it in. And I brought it to them, and they're like, wow, that's actually pretty cool.
It's
I'm
pretty
like,
awesome.
and the company has also melted them down, and they prove that there's that amount of gold, if not a little bit more, in each gold bag. So it's not like you're getting, rug pulled or anything like that. But
yeah, and it's not gold foil either. Common misconception is like, oh, it's just gold foil, whatever. Like, no, you can't. I don't think you can melt gold plated or gold foil down to like actual gold. I don't think it assays, but this stuff does. Like, it's not gold foil. It is like atomically deposited by some of the most insane expensive machines in the world. Like, it's fascinating. I think we do a really bad job actually of explaining like what an RM is and why it goes for much more than the spot price of gold. I guess I could talk about that. Actually, it's really interesting. The machines that make the gold come from the semiconductor industry. So the same machines that are making AI supercomputer chips and all that are the same sort of lithographic machines that are melting gold and then atomically depositing it in incredibly fine and controlled amounts to create like the substrate of these gold bills. And then like that's not the end of the journey. In addition to those crazy expensive regulated insane machines that are the size of in like small houses, it then goes to currency printers, like actual currency printing machines that are some of the most highly regulated machines on planet Earth because they can create money out of thin air. They can spin gold. So these machines are incredibly hard to get. You can't just buy a currency printer. You have to go through you have to go through an incredibly rigorous process, and it's incredibly regulated and secretive, as you can imagine. And it's such a fascinating story. It goes from the semiconductor industry, those machines, over to currency printing, insanely regulated machines. And then, after some more proprietary magic, you get an ARM. And that's why they're expensive, because our cost basis for an ARM, or the cost basis for any ARM, starts off at the spot price of gold. You buy the gold and then you make an ARM. So there's manufacturing overhead that goes into creating these things. And the manufacturing overhead is not $1. It's not, a couple of pennies like it would be if you're making a soft drink or an aluminum can or something like that. Like, no, these machines create supercomputers. These machines create money, and to operate them, to maintain them, is an incredibly expensive thing. So a lot of these Aurums that are produced, like they are produced and sold at a price that is less than it costs to manufacture them. It's important to consider that, it's important to understand that the premium on an Aurum does not mean profit margin. Like, it's being sold at 100% premium, or twice what the gold spot is. That doesn't mean that is all profit margin. The profit margin is incredibly thin, actually, because the manufacturing overhead is enormous, because these machines are so incredibly complex. Like, it is a feat, is a technological marvel that these things can exist in the first place. And I hope that over time the manufacturing overhead goes down, but their price is extremely fair for the magic that is being produced. Like, it's Rumpelstiltskin. Like, we're literally spinning gold.
Now, do you see, like, we're talking about AI technology, do you see the technology like advancing in this particular arena quickly to be able to make it drop?
Maybe not. This is probably one of those areas that is so incredibly specialized, and there are only a handful of these machines even in the world that, like, I don't know that they benefit dramatically from AI at scale. I think, like, the manufacturing overhead goes down over time as adoption increases. So it's one of those where, like, the more of these things that we can put out into the world, the more that these machines can be scaled up, and we can create redundancies, and then, like, the lower the manufacturing overhead is over time. Hopefully, we'll see.
Right. Gotcha. And Andrea had a question. I don't know the answer. Maybe you do.
Me neither. The assaying that we've done for our gold bills, so we made a video where we melted some down and showed that you can get, like, a little button out of it. That was just with, torch heat.
Okay.
So some countries still do use mercury to melt down the gold because it helps bring it out at a certain temperature point. But a lot of countries around the world have outlawed the use of mercury to melt down gold. Because when you melt down gold, you get all that slag. And when you introduce mercury into the molten gold, the mercury will connect with that slag and pull it to the side or put it up top or below. So then it's easier to skim out the straight pure gold without the slag.
Not a process I'm at all familiar with, but anyway.
You would think that there'd be...
It's very unhealthy to use mercury, because when you melt mercury with gold, you inhale that fumes, and that's why we don't even have mercury thermometers in the U.S. for 30 or 40 years now?
More than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been outlawed for a long time, but I mean, there are still some countries around the world that do use mercury to extract gold, but they use the mercury to extract the slag, which is what you don't want mixed in with the gold.
BC, did you have a question? I'm sorry.
No, it shouldn't be it shouldn't be that hard. You could chemically basically melt down gold. It's not that hard. Like, you wouldn't even need to, like, smelt it like that. You can do this all chemically. It's going to cost a little more, but, like, it'd be very clean, because you could not only, while you're doing that, clean it. You could, so that's, like, a very old thing, like you were saying. Well, especially with the laws, because it is highly toxic. It's just a wee little bit.
Well, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think the countries that still use mercury to extract gold, say there's 10 people around that mercury, there's at least one of them that die every day. Or maybe it's every week. But, I mean, that's kind of how poisonous mercury is when you heat it up. That's why most countries don't allow it.
So, like, there's no way there's a 1 in 10 chance I might die this week if I'm working with gold. You're not paying me enough to work with that gold.
But that's not the gold, that's the mercury.
Yeah,
though. That's
but-
why, like, I want to say like 85-90% of the world has outlawed mercury. It's just those very lower than third world countries that still use mercury.
Allie, question. On Crypto on the Rocks, you talked a little bit about using NFTs with your company. Can you talk about that here? Because I know we got people here who are interested in the whole NFT scenario here in the crypto space.
Well, if anyone knows the Pudgy Penguin people, tell them to respond to my emails. What I really want to do, and what I'm working on right now, is finding a like really good established NFT project, hopefully one that actually has made inroads into CPG. So Pudgy Penguins, I think they have like, you know, the actual penguins themselves, some of them in plushie form at like toy stores, stuff like that. So that's an NFT project that has already seen the value in not just having this project be a digital thing, but also like expanding into the real world too. And what I would love to do is make an NFT project like quote unquote real. So you would have a physical NFT, because really these Aurums are, if you look at them a certain way, they're kind of like NFTs. They're a piece of art. Only this one you can hold in your hand that has some sort of value. And in the case of the Aurums, they have value from the intrinsic value of the precious metal that they're made with. And I think just as a concept, working with, just like we're working with other IP providers or IP holders like Frazetta and the rest, making that IP sort of real so that the NFT becomes real would be really fascinating. And then, of course, there should be some sort of like digital parallel to it, where it's, you know, you buy one of these things that's a physical version of it, you should also get a digital version of it. And I think today we can do that. We can make NFT versions of every single Aurum that we've sold. And that's an angle that I'm sort of exploring too. We don't have like a firm direction on where we're going to go, but like I said before, like we are definitely going to do something in the crypto space, and that would be a very, very easy thing to do. It's just, if you've ever bought one of anything that MetalMark sells, you could just get a NFT version of it. Of course, it'd have to be on like a cheap coin relative. Like, I don't know that we could really launch it in Ethereum. It might have to be Solana or something like that.
So, but then wouldn't that then be just an FT and not an NFT? Because it would be a fungible token.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's cool because like it could literally go in any direction, and no matter which direction it goes in, like there's some sort of value there. And when with these things in particular, like there is an intrinsic value floor, so there's no risk of, or there's, you know, everything has risk. There's always some non-zero risk, but there is a very low chance that one of these physical NFTs that has an intrinsic value, some intrinsic value of gold in it, would go to zero. It's just probably not going to happen unless gold goes to zero, and then, you know, the world's over. So whatever.
So then basically you could make an NFT that is tied to your MetalMark, and then with its own whole thing, basically you would keep that NFT series from ever hitting zero, because it's held up by the intrinsic value of the MetalMark itself.
Yeah. And I have no idea exactly how that would work, the ins and out of it, but that is a possibility. And I know that we're going to be participating in that space somehow in the future. I really want to find like the right project, and they can like take my hand and lead us down that path. Cause like I'm not the most savvy when it comes to NFTs. So I would want to rely on someone else's expertise, and sort of, we have the Aurum, we have the marketing engine, we have some other stuff. They have the NFT part figured out. And if we work together, like we can make something that is awesome digital, and it is also awesome physical, and it has like true, real intrinsic value.
Yeah, on both sides. Yeah. And yeah, the possibilities are endless with what you could do with that. I mean, my goodness, my head is spinning just to kind of thinking about all the different potentials. Wow. Well, thank you for chatting on that. And if anybody does know those people, go ahead, kick them. Okay, sorry, I was just checking a message that was there. Guys, I'm sitting here asking a lot of these questions. Feel free, jump in. Badel, I know you said you gotta maybe head out pretty soon. Any questions you wanted to ask before you head out?
No, I don't have to head out soon. It's just I should be fixing my truck. I mean, two times to the auto parts store today just to get the right stupid fittings for the brake line. But
Gotcha. So just trying to, I know the one other thing I was hoping to explore, and you don't have to go into great detail, obviously, Allie, was you mentioned doing the Michael Saylor strategy for MetalMark with regard to a BTC reserve. You want to talk about that a little bit for our crypto peeps who are here?
For sure. Yeah, I mean the long and short of it is we're super long on Bitcoin, and if as like cash flow permits, if I can pour some percentage of cash flow into Bitcoin just to establish a reserve, like the better. What that's going to do is increase the value of the company, potentially increase the multiple if there ever sort of like exit potential for it. And then interestingly, if we manage to amass enough Bitcoin and it goes where it's going to go, then that becomes something we can use as collateral for capitalizing the business. Like if we ever need debt for PO financing or whatever, we have a large stash of collateral that we can sort of tap whenever we want. And it gets really interesting too, because if that gets big enough, then that becomes something that could also provide liquidity for MetalMarks. If we wanted to like offer our own liquidity for these Aurums at whatever premium exists, 90%. That's it. I mean, it's super simple. Like we have 1 Bitcoin in the treasury today. That's something that I donated, but that will grow as we continue or we start doing our DCA or our buys. Something we're going to figure out, but maybe we even raise debt to bring on more Bitcoin. I don't know. I don't think actually that would be very popular right now. But
all I will say is don't do it the way that Saylor was saying it at the Bitcoin conference.
Exactly.
So
enlighten me.
What he was talking about was, okay, your company is valued at such and such. You sell said portion of the company. He just went off of like your company's worth $1 million. So you sell 33% of your company, raise $330,000. You buy Bitcoin with it, and then you wait a year. Your company is now valued higher. And then you sell another portion.
Yeah,
but
leverage.
What he's coming out to is it's what he did, and I get it. It's worked for now, but if he can't make it through this bear market, then none of what he did mattered. So he sold bonds that mature in 2026. You're starting to get into a bear market in 2026. We dip below $68,000 on Bitcoin and people want to mature their bonds, then he's screwed. So do it the other way. Lower your entry prices instead of raising your entry prices.
What Taylor did, I felt, yes, it's a good move. But if you're buying Bitcoin right now at, say, 104, 105, what's the all-time high? 111?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was buying Bitcoin a year ago, last year at the conference. It was 68,000, maybe 70,000. Okay, so if you bought one full Bitcoin last year and it went up 30,000 or 35,000, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, you made money, but I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical of buying Bitcoin at this point at over 100K.
Well, and that's what I'm talking about, though, is instead of lowering his entries, it's like that man just bought several $1 million more worth of Bitcoin this week. For why? It's like, yes, this is kind of like we're near tops for right now. And like in 10 years, this won't be tops. But if you don't make it to 10 years from now, Saylor, this was all for nothing.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, I think, like you're saying, the strategy is a good strategy, and having it is good to have in your
Just
reserves.
just do
But
the
it's how you
opposite
get
of
it.
what you did. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
when your company's up and Bitcoin is down, that's when you buy. You're like,
Well,
okay,
I mean, it's like that one crypto on the rocks when the one guy I've known for a couple of years that knows I know about crypto, and he asked me about XRP, and I go, yeah, I'm in it for like 20 cents a coin. He's like, oh, I bought in. My average cost is like $3.05. And I'm like, dude, it's like $2.60 right now. I was like, I told you a couple of years ago, buy Bitcoin, buy XRP, buy Litecoin.
I personally, I'm not a huge fan of debt. I resisted getting a credit card when I was a kid for a very long time, which was ultimately kind of a bad move because when I went to buy my first house, I had a stable job, I had plenty of cash for the down payment, but like my credit score was awful because I refused to get a credit card and build credit because I didn't really believe in debt. I'm still sort of that same way. I realize now that debt is sort of how the world works, so I'm not super adverse to it. But if I can avoid debt at all possible, especially in the context of like this business, I would absolutely do that. So the more that I can the more Bitcoin I can buy, because I am personally very long on Bitcoin, the better. But I would do that ideally from like available cash flow, excess cash flow, or whatever. Maybe there's no such thing as excess cash flow, but from available cash flow, which seems to me like a more responsible way to do it. Or maybe we raise with certain strategic investors or capital partners that would try to capitalize a business with Bitcoin or something like that. But like raising debt on raising fiat debt in order to acquire more Bitcoin is probably something that I don't think that we would do.
I mean, the only way I'd really find that as fiscally responsible would be at the bottom of the bear, where it's like, okay, we accrue, because here's the thing: there's good debt and there's bad debt, and to accrue debt in an asset that in a month is going to pay off all of that, like you'd be fine.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Like this is also an evolving strategy for Metalmark, but I know that we're not going to be doing anything dumb with Bitcoin for sure.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good.
Ellie, I got one more question for you, real quick, which
That's funny.
might throw an idea at you. So last year at Bitcoin conference in Nashville, Bitcoin trading cards was a huge thing. This year, there was a couple more companies that had Bitcoin trading cards where you could win a Bitcoin or a portion of Bitcoin. What about something like that with Metalmark where you could maybe implement, here comes a train, but where you could maybe implement a serial number on a limited pack or a limited number of Metalmarks to where they could maybe win or receive a full Bitcoin, half Bitcoin, a thousandth of a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Kind of like those trading cards. You buy them at risk. You spend $180, you get 20 cards. You could win $5 or you could win a whole Bitcoin.
I would love to make those cards for someone. I think like the gacha thing, is that the right term for it? It's where it's sort of like a form of gambling, loot box style stuff. I think I may be personally adverse to that. I definitely see the appeal, and I think it's also something in the collector's market that's a thing. And maybe it's my personal opinion is fighting the tide a little bit on that, but I don't know that I would do a product like that has a risk reward component to it that is beyond just the normal risk reward of purchasing a precious metal. Like I would want to be very honest in the things we present to customers, in that like you're paying this much for this thing and it has this much value in it, and hopefully that value is going to grow over time. And that to me is like just an easier value proposition than layering in like you have a chance whenever you buy this thing to really hit it big. Like I don't know that I would get into the business of it's lottery tickets like that almost, but I
Yeah.
would love to make.
When
I
you
would
said
love to make the
gambling, I was like,
Aurums.
you know what? That is gambling, and I'm like,
It
yeah,
really is.
that's a whole different atmosphere.
Well, but if you're using metal mark, the I don't see it as gambling because now you've got a gold component. Do you see what I'm saying? So
I'd say this if this is something I explored actually. This is not in place today. Full disclaimer, but I did explore like a strategy of okay, we have this one Bitcoin in the business today. Like maybe if we DCA over time, we put some available cash flow to doing more and more buys, we accumulate more and more Bitcoin. And I was thinking, all right, well, there's a way to sort of influence the secondary market for our collectibles line by pushing Bitcoin as a reward to people. I talked about like maybe marrying crypto into these things. There's a version of the business that I explored where if you purchase, let's say a Frazetta piece, very expensive, collectible, over time we could like drop Bitcoin to a wallet that you control, or a wallet that we control that you have access to, because again, you have the double serialization between the COA and the gold bill.
multi-sig kind of thing.
Yeah. And that would be a way to increase the value of these collectibles over time with Bitcoin. So like it's always going to have the intrinsic value from the gold, but over time it has a collectible value because like there's only the limited number of these that exist on the planet. But like maybe we can even stack the odds more in the favor of the customer by pushing these rewards to them over time. And those rewards could include things like Bitcoin or other forms of crypto or NFTs or whatever. Something we're still exploring, but I'm super passionate about that because it's a very clear value proposition, and it is as honest and rewarding for our customers as it can possibly be, which to me is like the most genuine form that we can take. And I feel like that sort of always wins.
Mhm.
Amen.
I think that idea right there, I think would be the best because, just for example, say take 0.5% of your yearly profits and give that 0.5% back to everybody that bought those every year.
Hmm.
So then
Well,
you have say Bitcoin plus the gold mark or the gold back, and then every year that you continue to hold that, you get a portion of that 1% or a portion of that 0.5% of the profits from that company that year.
Yeah.
So
it would also almost incentivize everybody to push those to sell them to everybody else, because then the more money that that company makes, then yes, you get a small return every year just
it's like
by
a share.
holding.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Wouldn't the best way to do that though be go off of like a physical wallet that's tied to it, like the tap pay type things on certain cryptos where it's like there's physical coins that you can buy. That's like it's a fake Litecoin, but it's got one Litecoin on it, and you just tap to load it to your wallet. So like that way you have the wallet address. You don't have to worry about that. You send it to them. They can either leave it on that or move it to their wallet if they want.
Yeah, that'd be solid. And it's like such an emerging space and thing, and all of these ideas are doable to some degree, and it's going to be really hard to pick which direction to go because like they're all great.
Yeah, it's where what road you going down first, kind of thing.
Yeah, but ultimately, like, yeah, it just all goes back to like just pushing as much value as you can back to the people that took the risk, that thought that what you were doing was rad, and they bought something even though it was expensive because they thought it was really cool. And if you can just continuously reward these people over time for doing that, like that's awesome. That's awesome for the customer, and that's awesome for the business, because then there's every incentive in the world for everything that we do to be purchased by someone, because that it's going to benefit you in the long run.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
whoever pulled up that comment from Dave Digital, yeah, they did that last year too in Nashville, where they sold silver coins, these BTC chips inside of them, where you just peel off the back or whatever, and you have so much BTC plus the weight of the silver. but it's also at a premium, you know, kind of like Metal Mark. Like,
yeah, but like
that,
at
and
some
no offense,
point,
Emily, like that was my biggest problem is like when I was showing people the Muff and the gold backs, they've never heard of gold backs. They're like, okay, well, what's its weight? You know, what's it worth in gold? What's the purchase price? And I go, well, it's generally like a 90 to 100% premium. So you get like $58 worth of gold. It costs you $116 to buy it. But you have this artwork also that you could like hang on the wall if you chose to. And they're all like, well,
yeah, because people don't think about it that way. You know, if that's not something that they're necessarily into, they just don't consider the processing cost of putting that together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, everybody, the one that I got from Daniel, that artwork, I'm like, oh, well, what do you think about that? That's awesome. I go, well, this is like 10 value, like a 20x more, because
Badel, just so you know, your internet is cutting out. You're glitching.
The premium argument is super valid. I feel it's super valid, especially for like the non-collectible side of the business. So like the metal mark standards or goldbacks are a really good example too, where you have gold that is meant to be utilitarian. It's meant to be spent. It's meant to be traded. It's meant to be circulated. It's meant to be accepted by businesses and then redeemed for USD. The premium argument is a big barrier, but what you have to understand again is like the cost basis for these bills begins at the spot price of gold. We pay for the gold to make an Aurum, and we pay the spot price, and then we have the manufacturing overhead. And that premium again, like, is not profit margin. The profit margin is thin, and some of these go out being sold under what it costs to make them, so they're sold at a loss. And they're sold at a loss to advance like the sound money movement. And gold being a trusted form of cash, that is the problem that Aurums like have solved. It is solved. They are spinning gold and using currency machines that have anti-counterfeiting measures that you would find in like the most modern and secure currencies. And like there is a cost to that, and that cost is above the spot price of gold. But yeah, hopefully it comes down over time. We'll see.
There's just so like you also have to take into account that like some people are buying gold for a different purpose, as opposed to it's like they're not looking at like, hey, this thing in itself has intrinsic value on top of the fact that it is gold. So there is going to be some barriers there.
Yeah, and always will be.
All right. So.
Well, do you really think there always will be, or do you think as you know, things transition and I'm sorry, but you know, we get into more economic challenges over, you know, the future here, will that help to move that barrier, like shrink the barrier, do you think?
I think so. I think the main thing that eliminates that barrier is the introduction of liquidity, which includes premium. So if you have a liquidity partner that is going to give you 100% over spot for the gold bill that you purchase at 100% over spot, then immediately that 100% over spot argument just sort of evaporates. Like, okay, yes, this is worth, if you melt it, this much, but this is worth exactly what you paid for it, or more even over time, if you go and you trade it in for USD with a liquidity partner. So then that argument of premium is just sort of eliminated, especially over time as gold keeps going up and as the USD purchasing power keeps going down. Eventually, if you just sat on these things, if you just did nothing with them, then eventually, if you melt them, you will make more money than if you just had that money in USD or whatever. Like the melt value over time of these bills, like, is eventually going to be above 100% over spot.
One of the things that Daniel mentioned on that episode of Crypto on the Rocks I'm referring to was setting up a parallel economy, which is why he works on all this legislation in the different states and so on and so forth. Do you see that as you know, one, do you see that as happening? in the future? And two, do you see MetalMark being part of that parallel economy?
We certainly could be. I think right now we're focused more on the collectability side of things. But the other side of things is really fascinating. And I think if we wanted to, we could certainly wade into those waters and maybe make a dent. I don't know. I almost wouldn't call it a parallel economy. Like all economies are sort of interconnected, even the ones that like are secret. Like they still spill out because
Fair
the
enough.
cash generated over here can come over
Yeah.
here. The gold economy I see is like a savings account versus a checking account. Your USD is like your checking account, and it goes down in value over time. So you need to spend it. You need to get rid of it, so that you can convert it into things that are going to have more value. The legislation is certainly making all the data points connect that show that like gold is going to continue to have utility and be able to pay debts and stuff like that.
Yes.
Aurums are part of that, hopefully. I don't know if the legislation is super particular to Aurums yet. I think it's mostly wrapped around like bullion, but eventually it sort of has to be. And I think if we're good at our job and if the sound money movement is good at what they're doing, we're working together to make that reality a reality.
Right. We have gone like I know we've had like great conversation just kind of going here. We've gone over what we normally stream here, so maybe we start to wrap up a little bit. But guys, last questions for Ali before we start to wrap it.
I do have one question. Okay.
Go ahead.
How easy is it for an everyday person to melt down a gold back? Is it easy? Is it
Pretty easy.
hard? Is it gotta go to the store and buy like $400 worth of supplies? Because I know gold has a melting point, and I want to say it's like 2,000 degrees, but maybe I'm wrong.
A little under 2,000 degrees.
So it's pretty easy from my perspective. Like I rang up a local jewelry repair shop in Austin, Texas, Lane Wells Jewelry Repair, great dudes. And I was like, hey man, I got a crazy idea. I got these things. They're like Aurums, kind of like goldbacks, whatever. You heard of them? He had. And I was like, can we just record getting a video of you like melting them down? And we took it to the shop. And they melted it down, and it seemed very trivial, as long as you had the torch that can do it, and the crucible to put it in, and all that sort of stuff. I don't know that like you can throw it in the microwave and get the same results, or throw it in your oven or whatever.
I'm saying though, like over a campfire or a propane or butane torch, and then you get the slag, or possibly, maybe, if not, probably, I don't know, but I mean, but like, okay, but you took it to a shop to have them melt it down. Now, what would the approximate cost be for them to do that?
You face a very small, I think like 1 to 3% loss just on melting the actual gold down. You've got to lose some of it in the process, but it's pretty minimal, especially if the person doing it is very skilled at what they do. But the cost, like it doesn't take a long time. It's specialized labor, so it does come at some sort of premium. But if you melt down like 100 goldbacks, I don't think it would cost you more than maybe like $100, $150, something like that, from an expert. If you have the tools yourself, I mean, we're talking about what, 15-minute process?
Well, I was just asking, like, in general, because you could take it somewhere, they're going to charge you a fee. Rather, like, I'm a DIY guy, so I'd rather do it myself. But what would it cost me?
I'd say like the biggest cost to me is the very small percentage loss that you're going to have melting it down back to bullion.
But I also feel like if I melted it down myself and then I took it to a gold and silver shop, they'd probably want to melt it down again just to verify that it's 99 or 95% pure.
That's on
they're
them.
going to charge me, and it's like, okay, well, I spent all this money for what, it's just hypothetical, and if in case if any viewers look back on this later, could give them some info.
Yeah, but you would need a acetylene gas, like for welding, something that's going to push extremely high temps. So, yeah, if you want to go buy like an acetylene tank, which is not cheap, just like
well, no, because then you need the acetylene tank, you need the oxygen, then you need the hoses, plus you need the torch, then you need the striker,
Yep.
And then if you want to be real safe about it, you got to get the proper PPE.
No. We don't care about safety here. No.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, you're probably
Right.
talking an easy $1,000 just to melt down whatever gold you have, or a gold back that you have.
And I'm with you, trade intuition. Bingo bango on that. Yeah, I wouldn't melt it down either, man. No, it literal defeating of the purpose there. I'm with you.
Dude, especially I took a tour of the facility where they make these things, and like to melt them down is just a tragedy. Like it is magic. These things are magical. The process to create them is incredibly hard and complex and intensely expensive and highly regulated, and it's like such a specialized thing that you're destroying so much more value by melting them than you may realize, in my opinion.
No, I completely understand that, Allie, but I was just wanting to put that
it's
out there
totally
possibly for anybody that looks, like,
yeah, it's 100% doable. I watched it in person, and there's videos online where people melted on goldbacks and all that. And like it true to the point of the marketing message or one of the value propositions of Aurums, and like these things are actually assayable back down to bullion. That is 100% true. I've seen it personally.
but it's like when you talk about like Bitcoin, people don't sell Bitcoin. They just say buy Bitcoin at cost and HODL it. Nobody ever talks about selling Bitcoin. And it's kind of like what I was asking, like, what's it really take to melt down a gold back if you want to sell it at its gold price? But
sorry, I just had to put that up there. Yeah. there you go. Let's hope not.
Hey, Dave Digital, just so you know,
Dave.
I got that limited edition Florida gold back from Daniel Diaz. If I ever think about selling that, I will
reaching out to you first
and offer it to him first, because I want it from him and I feel it's only fair.
BC, any last question for Allie before we wrap this thing up?
No, I do not. I asked most of mine, so.
Yeah, I got through most of mine, and hell, the ones I didn't even get a chance to ask, he answered too. So that was great. Appreciate that. See, I shouldn't have told you in advance, Allie. No, I'm kidding. But hey, I really appreciate the fact that you took the time to come here. I know that doing live streams is not necessarily your comfort zone, so I appreciate you doing that. And you did great, man. I really do appreciate you being here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Always ready to see you guys. Nice to meet you, BC.
Nice to meet you too. And we'll have to get you back on.
Yeah, amen.
Right on.
And by the way, just to put it out there, you're always welcome on Friday nights. Just saying. The link is the same, so you've already got the link. But
I kind of feel that we broke his the cord, and now he's like, oh, live streams aren't that bad with a couple other people. So
yeah, they're really not.
Metalwork will have a YouTube channel and start live streaming here shortly. Maybe.
I'm used to being like the Wizard of Oz, like behind the curtain, and that's like where I think my whole career. And I'm realizing that I need to step out of that a little bit. So building the muscle is actually really important, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, well, you're doing a great job. Is there anything that you'd like to toss out for everybody that's still watching right now? We got a few people still watching. Anything you want to put out there?
Man, there's only one thing. Something I'm super proud of, and I'm chomping at the bit to release. So we have a lot of stuff in the pipe right now, but the if I can do one act of promotion, I would say that we have secured a deal with the Getty Museum, and we're going to be coming out with an Aurum for the Getty Museum, and it's gonna. I won't say what it's going to have, but super excited for that partnership, and I cannot wait to launch it.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I know you kind of teased that a little bit on that show, so that's good. Excellent. I can't wait to see. You guys have good things going on. Well, thank you again for being here. Guys, I'm going to wrap this thing up. For those who are on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, I'm going to forward you over to the OC guy. He's live right now. He's been live for about almost a half an hour now. We're, like I said, we're way behind our normal time here. But if you just hang tight, we're going to dance our way out the door here, and you'll be taken directly over there. So don't forget, next Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. The three of us will be back. I'm not sure that Allie will be back, but maybe we can reel him in again at some point in the future. So
I'll join.
there you go. There you go.
I'll say
All right.
he seems like he's having fun.
He is
Granted,
having-
maybe next week he's just a fourth participant. Maybe not talking about gold backs or gold, but
Oh, he's running the show the next time he's here, so it's all him. All right, we're out. Have a good week, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon. Next Monday. Don't forget, 7 p.m.